On to some matters of security now. The national security operatives are tracking a kingpin behind a sophisticated counterfeiting syndicate said to be operating here in Accra. The operatives made the bust initially in February this year. Director in charge of special operations at the National Security Secretariat, Richard Jakpa, has been leading the team. The latest on this development, however, is a rather disturbing one, which is heading Bank of Ghana money boxes, fake currencies and fake gold bars at Sapperman warehouse. Now, I'll be engaging the experts, but first let's walk you through what they found and at what time exactly of the year. On February 9, the National Security Operation that uncovered 12 20-foot containers with unspecified cedis, CD notes and dollar notes at Sapperman, which we reported. You're going to see that on the screen, or if you're watching us on Facebook right now. On March 5, the National Intelligence Bureau seized a vehicle loaded with about 120 slabs of cocaine with a street value of $150 million on the Cape Coast Road en route to the Greater Accra region. On the 27th of March, the National Intelligence Bureau intercepted massive consignment of cocaine weighing 3.3 tons, valued at $350 million, headed to Accra from the Western region. On the 6th of April, National Security is reported to have discovered hidden Bank of Ghana money boxes, fake currencies, and fake gold bars at Sapperman warehouse from its February 9 bust. Well, security analyst Dr. Victor Doke is of the view a lot more needs to be done by the security agencies to ascertain the main culprits of the crime. He spoke to my colleague Eric Mawena Egbeta earlier on News Central.
There has been some cartel in operation for some time, okay? Now, it will only take a robust mechanism put in place by security agencies to work on an these, operations by these cartels. It will take intelligence gathering, it will take what measures that have been put in place with regards to robust systems, okay, for these busts to be what on end, and then perpetrators being arrested. So one, I think what the national security is doing is another carrying the whole thing along, the people of the country along with regards to what, letting us know the where, the hows, and the what has been going on currently with regards to what illegal draft, okay, in the system, which the president has made clear that is not going to have that. So when you talk about we having made successes with regards to the security agencies, I think this is one of the ways to go. And I think we just have to be on the guard, on the lookout more, because then with these facts going on, the perpetrators, some of the perpetrators will be on the run, thereby we will not know their operations by and large, because then they'll be in the hiding and then come out later on.
Doc, I see you're beginning to already talk about the president's directive for investigations into the whole airplanes which touch base in the country. We'll get into that shortly, but I just want to stay with respect to this Sapperman bust. We're seeing money boxes belonging to the Bank of Ghana. When Mr. Jakpa spoke, he made reference to the fact that yes, some individuals had been arrested and that they are on a manhunt for one Alhaji in connection with these 12 20-foot containers and then the latest discovery that we're seeing. But should we be focusing on just this one Alhaji individual, considering that money boxes which belong to the Bank of Ghana are being found at this place where illicit activity is ongoing? Shouldn't the investigation be broadening its horizon into looking into how even money boxes are finding its way here?
Right. So when you talk about investigation, there's always a way to do that. And here, the knowledge is, the Alhaji is the correct leader. There's been other, lieutenants who have been arrested, but then the main leader is Alhaji. Now, you have connections, okay, of other people working at other institutions, i.e., it may be there were some people who were working in such institutions who had links, because how do you explore that sensitive material such as that will be found in Sapperman, okay, in a container that should be belonging to this island. So investigations should be widened there should be forensic investigations, forensic auditing as to the activities of how these forces, they already have markings of them, so they can trace, there's already records, they can trace as to how it entered into the country, when who received them, how the boxes left the DOG of the compound, which is fortified. Security is what strengthened. How did it leave that premises? How it's going to supplement? Investigators will definitely do what?
As Dr. Victor Doke is a security analyst, a lecturer at the CONFISCATIONS International Peacekeeping Training Center. Still on matters of security and national security operatives. This evening, we're hearing in the Western region have uncovered stacks of ECG, that's Electricity Company of Ghana equipment, at two sites at Kansarado, a suburb of Sekindi Takrade in the Western region. One identified site owner claimed it was for an ECG project, whilst the other is yet to be identified. Now, two suspects, Henry Apia of Hegmek Company Limited, a subcontractor of ECG, and one Evans Latte, supervisor of MBH Power, were initially arrested in connection with the 41 drums of aluminum cables and 5 used cables, including bundles of iron bars dumped in the bush belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana in the Kansarado suburb of the Sekindi Takrade metropolis, but has since been released. Now, the operatives also busted about 100 boxes of single-phase ECG meter boxes and other accessories when stands touch at a private residence in Kansarado in the Sekindi Takrade metropolis. Hashim Tanko Nuhu is a national security operative. He's been speaking to the media earlier today.
Instructions from our bosses. We are asked to go around because we have intel that some of these items found their way into Western region. So we were asked to go around to check. So we also sent some of our boys around. We called one or two guys around certain facilities. And then we got information. We got intel that some of these items were stocked here. So we got the information yesterday. We did the necessary background checks, and then we came here to come and check with the media.
Are your checks in variance with what you've uncovered?
Not at least. What our intel told us is exactly what we found here. So we are on the same wavelength with it.
We've observed quite an altercation between you and the contractor, NBH, and the subcontractor as well.
You see, these stock here are different from those that we uncovered in that private residence. That one has been owned up by a contractor. The only problem we have with him is how those items got into his private residence. And then secondly, some of what he told us are not what actually there is we found today. So we are in the formative period of the investigation, and as and when we are done, we'll let the media know.
Do you intend to confiscate what we have here?
That's exactly what we are doing. That is the instructions coming. We are going to liaise with the police, bring them here, and then use their van or they call those machines they use to pick the items.
So how far are you going with this investigation, particularly with the one on the private residence?
Our regional security national coordinator is going to call Accra immediately. He will take the instructions from Accra. Then at least we'll call UCU to the table and we'll discuss, because as at now, nobody has owned up for this. We spoke to the residents around. They seem to not know who actually is the owner of the items.
But this is a private property.
Exactly.
So have you been able to establish who owns this?
We are yet to establish that one. But then at least nobody did. But that we've spoken to some of the residents around. We cannot disclose it to you now. But then we are in the process of finding out who exactly owns the land. It could be that the landowner is not the same person who owns the item. You understand? So that's the process. We are in the preliminary stages of our investigation, and as and when we get the the facts. We'll let the media know.
Thank you. So how many items do we have here?
We have 41 fully coiled cables. We have some of them that are empty. We suspect thievery. We suspect that these crab boys might have come here and are taking them away. You understand me? And there are certain iron bars that we've also found here. And there are certain materials that we found here then. But the ones that are full round, not being touched with 41.
Thank you.
So that's the information we're getting from Hashim Tanko Nuhu, who is a national security operative on this particular news. We were just hearing on the matters of ECG. We understand that the national security operatives in the Western region have uncovered stacks of ECG equipment at 2 sites at Kansarodo, a suburb of Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region. So that's what we're hearing right now. And Richard Kumado, a security consultant, is joining us. Mr. Kumado, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alfred.
First off, I want to find out from you. It's been a busy last few days for national security, but let's start off from where we just ended in the Western region, where we're learning that the operation by the national security operatives there has led to the uncovering of stacks of ECG equipment at 2 sites at Kansarodo, a suburb of the Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region. Now, considering the fact that over the last at least couple of weeks after the Energy and Green Transition Minister came out to say ECG cables and containers are missing, there's been a number of arrests over the period. How does that strike you?
Definitely, it means they are working. Arrest is one. Prosecute them for the crimes they have committed is another. Because I know that non-punishable of offenses will always rationalize bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies in society. Alfred, the issues have been mixed up. We want to find out these containers that have been missing or stolen. Were they the ones in the hands of the state, which means they have been confiscated because ECG couldn't pay the demurrage, or these are the actual working containers of the ECG, or these are things that were given to people, they sold it to them. These are the things we are interested in knowing within the space of the communications that is going on. That notwithstanding, whoever has been found culpable of stealing a missing container, the law needs to take its course. And arresting people is one, put them before the court and try them, and prosecute them is another. And that is the next phase we are waiting to see.
But to the extent that now we're seeing the national security opening up to the media, and I think that's one of the issues that I recall when the former governor of the central bank's house was searched by national security.
This guy, the one who spoke to you and said he's for national security, is an operative. It might be an operative in Takoradi. So these are the structure works. You have from President Akufo-Addo's time, or even before then, I think from President Akufo-Addo's time, you have regional national security coordinators, and you have district national security coordinators, and you have municipal national security coordinators. This is a structure, they didn't make it known to the general public. To the extent that he spoke about it, that is why I'm speaking to you about it. And they can say one or two things. And if I listen to the conversation, you realize that some of the answers was given were not coherent. And if the media push him in, he might be making those mistakes. You remember that one of the cardinal crimes against Dampari was that police people were speaking directly to the media. And because these are professional media people, they ask you a few questions and you fumble. He brought the discussion to the region, and that created a cardinal sin for him. I want to end it here by saying, I do not hold the power as to who speaks and who doesn't speak as national security people. But what I know is that the National Security Director and the BNI Director do not speak to the media. And hardly will you see them speaking to the media. Neither will they engage media people in the operations they do.
There's been some recommendation that era of secrecy around national security
even
operations.
Even in the U.S., that's the way it happened. You copy your democracy from the U.S.
I was just coming to a point. If you haven't finished the question, you understand where I'm getting to. So there's been that recommendation And I earlier spoke to Ken Officer Sabaje retired, who also holds a contrary view that secrecy around national security operations, that era is over, and that national security should be giving briefings at least on the operations.
National security coordinator or national security, because there's nothing like national security.
Essentially, if
is it a national security coordinator?
Mr. Kumado, the National Security Coordinator obviously will be speaking for and on behalf of the National Security to give him briefings about their operations. Is that a call that you would support?
No, if that is the direction they want to go, then what they will do is that they will appoint a corporate affairs person for them. Because what happened in the U.S., where you copy this democracy point, is that the FBI director goes to the committee. And you remember when President Donald Trump was shot, the director of the Secret Service appeared before a committee. Before they appear before those committees, whatever they are coming to tell you has been pre-planned, they have rehearsed it. If my uncle Felix believes that the National Security Coordinator should be speaking, then what they will do is that they will appoint public affairs or corporate affairs person for them. Because when you go there, they have director of legal, but they don't have director of corporate affairs. And that might be something they might be looking for. For me, because politics itself is a threat to national security, and actors or politicians can create treacherous movements for the state, I wouldn't want the National Security Coordinator to be speaking to the media. And if they will do it, it should be in camera. That is my position, which might be the same or differ from what Abuaje might be talking about.
Right. But moving on, in fact, there was an earlier operation as well, another information that came through from the National Security Director of Special Operations. I'm talking about Richard Jagba, where we understand the discovery of official Bank of Ghana cash boxes is at the center of the major counterfeiting operation in Sapema, in the Ghana West Municipality of the Greater Accra region. And in fact, this has sparked significant alarm over possible regulatory failures and the robustness of Ghana's financial security system. How concerning is this from where you sit?
What they have not said is whether this particular one is linked to the gold bust they did the last time. If they are the same, then the dynamics is different. If they are not the same, then the dynamics is different. If they are not the same, then which means that they have a tip-off and they went in for this particular area and they find those bags. If they are the same, then they left out from where they pick it from the last time. No matter what it takes, I understand they brought in from Dakar's voice, they brought in some people from Bank of Ghana and they confirmed those are their boxes. What the boxes are doing there and why they are there, we might want to find out from Bank of Ghana, those particularly officers responsible for movement of monies and money boxes, and why that particular place become a place of interest. Other than that, if fraud is what occurs, then perpetrators will have to face the rigors of the law.
I do thank you for your thoughts on this. And
thank you, Alfred. God bless you.
Indeed, and bless you too. That's Richard Commodore, is a security analyst, sharing his thoughts on this. But let's go back to the Western region, where a man is following the national security operatives there every step of the way. Abraham Mensah. Abraham, unfortunately, we lost Abraham on the telephone. We'll try to raise him back and have a conversation with him on the happenings in the Western region, specifically with the national security operatives in the region. We understand have uncovered stacks of ECG equipment at two sites at Kansaredo, a suburb of Sekondi Takrade in the Western region. One identified site owner claimed it was for an ECG project, whilst the other is yet to be identified. From what we're hearing, two suspects, Henry Appiah of Hegmic Company Limited, a subcontractor of ECG, and Evans Lati, supervisor of MBH Power, were initially arrested in connection with the 41 drums of the cables, aluminum cables, belonging to the ECG. Abraham is back on the telephone. Abraham, so tell us, these two persons who are arrested, you understand one of them has been released. How about the other person?
Good evening. Actually, the two have been released. Initially, they were causing a bit of a nuisance at the Regional Coordinating Council. And based on some consultations the National Security Operatives had, they were to release those officers of the two companies as they continue their investigations at the head office with ECG.
I see. Now, we understand this person said these cables were for an ECG project. Now, what was the reaction or the response of national security to this particular position that was earlier espoused?
Apparently, there was a bit of altercation between Elia with the subcontractor, HEDMIC Company Limited, who was being supervised by Mr. Appiah, Henry Appiah, and he was a bit fountain with how to put up some justifications as to how he came about those equipment until he got a bit of a rescue from his boss or the main contractor, MBH Power. So the understanding we got was that ECG had contracted MBH Power mainly to procure ECG meters for the loss reduction program. However, a component of it requires that they subcontract this installation works and other extension works to residents within the Sekendi Takrady and even parts of Dabuase under the program. So they engage HEDMIC to undertake that project. We are yet to tell as to whether or not there are any procedural arrangements with the storage of this equipment, because it was questionable, according to the national security operatives, why such state properties would be, placed at some private residence, especially at the time when investigations are ongoing on the whereabouts of some missing ECG containers. So as it stands now, Mr. Latte provided quite some documentation, mainly a way bill as to they being in possession of some electrical equipment. We couldn't make time to visit their warehouse, which they claim to have quite a number of these equipment. But we understand the national security operatives will pursue this matter to its conclusion. However, our sources at the ECG confirmed that there is a contractual arrangement with MBH. They did not say as to whether or not those items we found were truly some consignment they had released to MBH for those work. So
I see.
The ECG has taken up this matter and we're hoping to have quite some better responses to that.
But we're seeing videos. If you go on our Facebook page right now, we're showing videos of some of these ECG cables that were seen in a bushy area. Now, Abraham, explain this to us. This video of the ECG cables in this bushy area that you, together with the national security operatives, identified today. What were the cables doing there?
So there were two sites. The one in the bush, the national security operatives couldn't tell who brought them there and who even owns that parcel of land. So basically, from the look of things, it's been there for a couple of weeks, maybe months. And there were 41 full coil drums of electrical cables, including aluminum and then fiber. And then there are others that had been used up. And even from where it's been placed is exposed to theft. So that is one sector of the investigation. The other sector has to do with some 6-7 drums, which were found at the private residence of a brother, as he claims, of the HEDMIC Company Limited Supervisors residence. So other residents were stacks of ECG meters enclosures, some electrical fuses, which some other metal and other fiber cables in there. Yes, some were locked up, others were quite in the open, and as it stands, we cannot tell as to the exact quantities that are being held in that household. But from MBH, they have their warehouse, and as and when an order is taken from ECG, they would release that to HEDMIC Company Limited for processing and then installation. Abraham,
appreciate you for this update. Thank you.
Welcome.
Abraham Mensah there. He is a man in the Western region.